So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّ لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. They respond in this way of, indeed we belong to Allah and to Allah we return. Now this is a very, very difficult thing to do. And it's easy to talk about it while we're sitting, but how do we actually translate it into action? That when we are facing things in our lives, that we respond properly to them. Have any of you ever run a marathon? Do you know anyone who's ever run a marathon? Perhaps. Okay. Did that person who ran the marathon wake up one day and say, I want to run a marathon tomorrow, and we'll go and run a marathon? No. What did they have to do for months? Train. You have to train for months consistently to be able to even just get to the point where you can run a marathon, or even half a marathon for that matter. Okay? You have to train to be able to do that. Now, spiritually, it's the same thing. Responding to difficulty and being able to have the resilience to handle life, to handle what life throws at you, to handle the weather. You can't just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to be able to do this. It requires training. It requires training. And it's training that you have to do every single day. And it's spiritual training. You can't be in a marathon and be able to run it unless you've been training ahead of time. How many of you know the story of the 3 little pigs? You had deprived childhoods, I'm sorry. The 3 little pigs, guys. So there's these 3 pigs. I know haram. It's haram to eat them, but we can talk about them. So 3 little pigs. The first pig is super lazy, right? Because he's lazy, he doesn't want to put in the effort and the time to build a strong home. So he makes his home out of straw. It was easy, quick, but it's very weak. The second one's also lazy, not quite as lazy. He makes his house out of twigs. Again, very weak. Then the third one puts in the time and the effort to build a strong foundation, to build a strong house out of brick. So what then happens? The big bad wolf comes around and he huffs and he puffs. Some of you had a childhood, alhamdulillah. Just kidding. Totally kidding, guys. He huffs and he puffs and he blows the first house down. Why? Because it was very weak. And then the second one comes, he comes to the second house, he huffs and he puffs and he blows the second one down. But then he gets to the third one and he does the same thing. He huffs and he puffs, but he can't blow it down. So here's what happens in life, right? We have various kinds of big bad wolves in our life. They come in different forms. Sometimes they're people in our lives. Sometimes it's political. We have, political leaders, huff and puff, right? Sometimes we have financial big bad wolves, health problems, whatever they are. They come and they huff and they puff and they try to blow our house down. And the question becomes, how strong is your house? Because we can't control the wolf sometimes, right? Just like you can't control the fog, and you can't control the rain, and you can't control the temperature. But what you can control is what you're wearing when it comes, what kind of shelter you have. What does it mean to build a solid foundation, a solid house out of brick? That thing that I gave you, that prescription I gave you, that 3 parts, everyone remember it? Every time you do that, that's daily training. Every time you do that, you're praying. Every time you pray, every time you do your azkar, every time you read the Quran, you are putting a brick in your house. So now what happens is you've created a very solid house. And now when the big bad wolf comes, as he will, but in different forms, but he always comes. Yeah, shaitan also comes. Yeah, tests will come. Sometimes people, they play that role in our lives. They shake us. And when that happens, the one who built the solid house out of brick will not be destroyed by the big bad wolf. This is the reason we become destroyed by our hardships and our calamities and our tests. It's because we are in a house made of straw or out of twig. It's not solid, it's not strong. There isn't a strong foundation, and that's because we haven't done the training. You understand? We haven't built the house. Our house is weak and flimsy. And so any wind, any blow, and it just knocks it down. And then it destroys us internally. It destroys us mentally and psychologically and emotionally and spiritually. It destroys us. Allah and His Messenger gave us a prescription, but we just don't follow it.